What's going on, everybody? So, I have a very controversial video. I was very reluctant to make this video, because it will challenge a lot of understandings that we all have, including myself. But I've thought this way for a long time, and this is not subjective, this is just evaluating evidence, having an objective lens at life, and actually testing what's being told and having an unbiased observation of what's actually happening in this world. So, I'm gonna give it my best shot. I'm gonna try to keep it concise and precise as I can. So bear with me. But this is just a perspective I think folks need to consider, especially based on our current situations we find ourselves in. And it's really about what we as people call knowledge, information, and how a world that has now rejected absolute truth because as a whole the world has rejected the creator, which is an absolute standard of truth, which means that right and wrong do exist. Everything is not subjective or relative. But unfortunately, people have been indoctrinated to believe that good can be bad, bad can be good, up can be down, and down can be up. We live in the most illogical society or civilization at this point in time ever. So actually, based on what's actually going on, this is not that very much conspiratorial. So I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna make it. Since the world does reject absolute truth as a possibility, that makes everything very subjective. And it's really the information that's being told is basically dependent on the person or authority or medium, television, media, whatever that is being presented in. So I'm going to start off by saying that we know that Freemasonry is involved in politics, religion, education, justice, corporations, and pretty much everything. And for those who do not know what Freemasonry is, you can call it Illuminati, secret societies, family bloodlines, all of the above, whatever you want to look at it as. There are people who are connected, that are privy to certain kind of amenities and privileges that the rest of us are not. It's not a coincidence that all 50 presidents are Freemasons, that most people who are in high level positions of all the institutions that control our lives are Freemasons, or what people call Illuminati or bloodlines. If you just, again, this is not even subjective. They're very proud of their rings, of saying that they're masonry. They speak the same language. George Bush Sr. He went on national television and said we're bringing in a new world order. And when people say, "Oh, that's a conspiracy," well, your president said it live on television, and it's been repeated several times by many other people. So this is not just hearsay. And also, it's secret knowledge, again, that only those who are loyal to these secret agendas can rise to high levels of authority, like the presidency, Supreme Courts, attorney generals, and other high level positions that run all the institutions that determine what information is viewed as valid and what is not. I said this previous video, why do graduates, preachers, judges, PhDs, etc., why do they all wear robes? What is the significance of the robe? It's the same thing I tell people about how they've been indoctrinated by traditions when it comes to marriage. Where did the ring come from? People do things that they can't even tell you the origin of. See, I'm not that person. I actually want to know why we do what we do and what tradition these traditions came from. Because a lot of these traditions came from very evil and foolish times in history. But people don't want to do that. They just rather say, well, it's the way it's always been done. You know, my mama, my grandmama, grandfather, and great granddaddy did it. I need to do it. That's a foolish reason to do something, isn't it? Then isn't there an old term, monkey see, monkey do? And you know, why are we just doing things just to do them? Oh, it's like, oh, my father was an alcoholic, so he wasn't there for me. So I'm going, and I saw the detriment of being an alcoholic in his life. So I'm gonna ignore rational thinking that says that destroying my body and my mind is going to create negative consequences. I'm just going to do what my daddy did when he hated his life. I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna drink. No sense of overcoming, of learning from experience. None of that matters because that requires common sense. See, that's how dumb that thought process is. But again, this has been indoctrinated. You know, people will tell you that television is produced in the alpha state. They keep the brain on a subliminal, subconscious level where you're just being fed things that will, you know, manifest themselves in how you live your life. And that's why we need to get away from some of this stuff, man. It's not just there for your entertainment. That's the pitch. It's there to dull you down, to put you in a mental coma so that you just take orders and not think about what orders you're taking. You just do things and not question why are you doing them or where they came from. That has always been the plan. Even Adolf Hitler was an advocate of secondary education, putting children in schools rather than being raised at home with their parents. Because if you get the children indoctrinated into agendas at a young age, it'll help carry it on through their whole lives. Who said that we can't learn in the home in basic reading and math and learning trades? These things used to start in the family. But see, people have rejected the family for the government. And they assume that the government has their best interests at heart. I'm going to get to that again. I'm kind of jumping ahead, putting the cart before the horse here. But again, why do all those people wear robes? Graduates, preachers, judges, PhDs. And these people create things like the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistic Manual, which is just simply a group of people that get around that have they don't use no scientific knowledge. They just vote using their personal agendas and self-interest to produce drugs that will make a lot of money from big pharma and actually give drugs to people. See, when we took God's law, which is also written on our hearts and minds, but confirmed and proved by the implementation of biblical law, when we took that out of society, we created a vacuum that was filled with negative behaviors, negative thoughts, and people, instead of realizing that people have to be responsible for the life they live, that the choices have consequences and all this basic common sense, people rejected that and just had this simple notion that I can do whatever I want. And I'm going to expect that it works out, not apply wisdom, trial and error, learning from experience or anything like that. I just do it because I feel it. And so what happens, all the negative consequences of that thought process started to manifest themselves. So instead of telling people, look, what happened is your parents didn't raise you and teach you right and wrong, and that's why you think that you can do anything and expect a good result. But instead of telling that to a child, they'd rather put them on Ritalin or some kind of medication that actually will scramble their brain, dull it down, and actually create the so-called illness that the drug was allegedly supposed to treat. So that what they do is they take perfectly normal children who just need discipline and love in the form of a standard coming from the biblical God that gives them order and structure to life. No, don't do that. Let them run wild, let the TV raise them, and then when they grow up and be like the culture in a society which is illogical demands them to be, and it destroys them, and you can't control them no more, you just put them on drugs. That's what the DSM says. And it's a group of people that vote. And let's talk about the laws. What do the laws do? They control what is legal and what is not, how we live and how things are regulated. Well, we see the problems of that. And let's talk religion. Because religion is controlled by Freemasons. We have a bunch of people that come under the label of the Bible. They come under the platform of Christ, but they don't teach his doctrine. They don't teach his words. They don't even reflect the things that Christ says that are just common sense. Instead, they go to theological and seminary institutions that pretty much focus on church business, politics in the church, and how to grow your church more than the tenets and virtues of the Bible. See, all knowledge and all information, history, and science, which requires observation, interpretation, and honesty through a scientific method that is testable, repeatable, and experiment, that's not applied. What's applied is agendas that weaken the bonds like family, that encourage folks to not be fully determined on a culture or a government to raise them, and to handle matters that will be solved in a family, within having a patriarchy father who's aligned with his creator, to uphold the virtues and attributes of the creator that protect us and are proven to be beneficial in life. No, we reject that. We've traded the family structure for a government that's all about control and money. So it's quite sad. And all of the fields of knowledge and information is funded by wealthy people with agendas and their own self-interest, regulated by the government that caters to those people. See, we can call ourselves experts and professionals based on hearsay. We're trusting men and women and knowledge from books written by these people and approved by the very same institutions regulated by the governments and corporations whose bottom line is just profit and power. For example, medical professions or professionals use knowledge based on books that requires, like, let me talk about a dentist, for example. They use knowledge that comes from a book that requires a dentist to use mercury fillings. Now, if science was applicable into medicine at any time, they would understand the poison. They knew about how poison mercury was long ago. This was thousands of years ago. But you mean to tell me, with all this knowledge available from testing and seeing it, how it affects the human body, they still put it in your tooth? Where is the logic in science? They use chemotherapy, a carcinogenic toxin so lethal that it's a race to kill the cancer, which is subjective. We have to talk about what exactly is causing the cancer here, before it kills the person. They push dangerous pharmaceutical drugs that are proven to cause greater sickness than they claim to treat, not to create the conditions where the body can cure and heal itself like it was designed to, but only treatments and drugs, that with hefty price tags and poor results. And this slows down the dying process to make it more profitable. And they also push lies like vestigial organs, like the appendix, which is not a vestigial organ. It actually has proven benefits in probiotics in the gut. But they rather push the evolutionary narrative to diminish the value of a person to an animal, which we kill with no discretion all the time. See, doctors are caught all the time in legal corruptions and lies at the very top levels of the field. Many who helped write the books used in the medical field have been caught up in controversy. But the only difference between heroin on the street and opioids given by the medical industry or from Big Pharma is the one that's prescribed by a medical professional. The destructive results are the same. You see, catering to the worst of human nature to control people is what the government, the corporations do. That's why they can sell cigarettes to you. See, lost and foolish or evil people will push and promote anyone who supports or promotes their evils into a position of authority. You see, educational systems that tell people what to think and not how to think are the problem. Like, for example, in schools now, they push gender neutrality to 5-year-olds. Well, where is the logic in that, and where is the science in that? Where is the science that's based on logic in that? And they pushing evolution that designated people that man came from apes and inorganic material, not based on any logic that's provable. testable, repeatable, and experiment. And the Big Bang Theory, also very as logical as they come. Churches that promote the very things antithetical to biblical teaching and commandments. See, that is not the Bible. That is that Freemasonry. That's that theological institution, the seminary institution that has corrupted the platform to push the narrative of the world. That's why preaching can go up there and lie to people and get money. Because he's catering to the evils of the people that the Bible actually exposes. That's why they can't teach the Bible as it's written. Because it would actually expose the human condition, where it exposes the weakness, vulnerabilities, insecurities, and evils of man that allow this world to exploit them. But no, they push lies. The justice system that allows injustice and corruption to exist at the very top levels of government and corporations that run everything we use and do to exist in this world. We all know things didn't add up. We all know that. But the constant flow of media to distract and indoctrinate us on the things that do matter in life, like again, that's the distraction from the things that do matter in life, to ignore or be blind to the things that do. So let me say that again. We all know that the constant flow of media is used to distract and indoctrinate us on the things, from the things that do matter in life, to ignore or be blind to the things that do. Excuse me. And doctors, lawyers, experts, professionals are just Freemasonry terms of approved knowledge from those pushing the agendas. These people have been trained in well-constructed misinformation and lies, and they know it. So they are experts in false information to indoctrinate folks into this mind control and false reality that makes them easier to control. And it's not always willingly. Sometimes it's unwillingly. If you are going to a school, a college, a medical, to get your master's in grad school, you can't control the book that your teacher is indoctrinating you into. So you can be, if the book is a lie and the teacher is promoting the lie as truth, you can be an expert in knowing a lie. So it's not really your fault. It's just that you have to realize the level and deceptions of this world. You know, these experts use false information to indoctrinate folks into mind control and false realities. Thousands of doctors, who expose the medical industry and push naturopathic and homeopathic medicine, they were found suspiciously dead. And this information has been scrubbed. Matter of fact, most good information has been scrubbed from the internet. And that's another tactic they use. They scrub everything that challenges the world's narrative. So that, just Google it, and whatever Google says, it got to be true. But people don't ever consider that, yes, the internet is being scrubbed. We can see the censorship objectively to this day. They don't allow, they only allow what they want to be allowed. Lawyers have found themselves conflicted with their clients and the truth many times. So that we know the justice system is messed up, but those are considered experts, lawyers, judges. But that doesn't mean that they don't have their own agenda and that they lie. I mean, come on now, bending the laws to allow the guilty to be innocent and the innocent to be guilty. We know about school systems are more worried about funding and demographics and those standardized test scores, which are rigged for the well-to-do to always be prepared for, and the disenfranchised and unprepared to fail, to keep them out of the flow of money. And they actually do it in a way that it has an appearance of looking legit on the books. See, the mantra of this world is just cater to the ego, vanity, and evils of the people, and you can control them with their own appetites while also feeding their wicked appetites. Look at sports. Tons of illegal substances cases in them. You got football, basketball, wrestling. You find out that people using PEDs and steroids and growth hormone, insulin, all this stuff. But they want you to say, you can do it. All you have to do is work hard. Well, yes, they do work hard, but they had help. See, normal people realize that you need a recovery time, that working hard requires a strict nutrition and rest regime. But these people, they work out all the time, 8 hours a day, and they just trucking along, and you try to do it and you end up in the hospital. And say, oh, I gave it my best. You just not doing it right. They won't tell you when they get busted, oh yeah, I was on PEDs and steroids and insulin and growth factors. Look at bodybuilding, which is supposed to be a pinnacle of health in terms of fitness. And all of them, they actually make it to a high level, are on steroids. We know this. But they promote themselves as fitness models, as saying, I work out hard. No disrespect to those who do. But let's keep, the whole point is honesty here. You know? And we also, like I said, these people also push the population to drink milk, something the government and their so-called scientists knew was bad for the population. They put fluoride in the water and in the toothpaste, approved by scientists. GMO also approved by scientists, the government and corporations. They all serve in a religion of Freemasonry to push their agendas. You see, this world has confused truth with authority. If people think for themselves, learn from testing, experience, and trial and error, they don't need so-called experts. See, what was needed was a family that knew their creator, that understood that the law and structure of the creator to expose their evils and their own foolishness so they won't reap the negative consequences of bad behavior. And then they can live a productive life that proves itself. Where's the expert needed in that? Where's a professional? You know that eating real food helps your body. If you eat something that comes out of a box and you have to add water, do you have to be a genius to figure out that's not a good idea? Or do you have to understand that eating an orange is better than drinking orange juice, which tells you on the label that it's pasteurized and it's concentrated with sugar added, that you can see for yourself? Do you need an expert to tell you that? The GMOs, which kill everything around them but the genetically engineered plant. So if you're not genetically engineered as a person, if you eat the GMO food that kills everything else, the pesticide that kills everything else, it will kill you slowly but surely. Do you have to be a genius to use common sense? This is what I'm trying to tell people. Experts and professionals have replaced common sense as they push narcissism, fame, and status more than results in truth. That's why people can make tons of money peddling lies and foolishness. The money and fame is what many value over common sense, which even children can have and adults can reject. I know this is a hard topic for people because a lot of us have been, we want to feel that we're good at what we do, but do we actually know what we read from books? Have we tested it? Or are we just doing it? How many institutions, people complain about everything. The justice system is rigged. Congress is bought and sold by lobbying corporations, and the presidents are puppets. The educational system is indoctrinating the children and it's not really teaching them, but it's basically memorization, not really teaching them critical thinking. We know this. We know the preachers are not preaching the biblical doctrine. If you would read the Bible for yourself, it would expose a lot of the lies and deceptions they're conning people out of to get their money. But as long as the preacher tickles the people with itching ears and tells them the lies that they want to hear, they will support that. This is what the government is doing. This is what they're all doing. The doctors, we know that they don't want the body to be cured or healed. They just want treatments that slow down the dying process that the bad eating habits and other foolishness is doing already. They're just keeping you dumb so they can make more money off of you while you kill yourself, basically, for being ignorant and being a follower and not thinking for yourselves. People are not trained to think for themselves anymore. You need an expert or professional to help you put your shoes on, to tell you to wash your face in the morning. Come on, y'all. Let's do better. You can look outside. You got people telling you to stay in your house. Look up viruses. Just look it up. Read it for yourself. The same knowledge that experts and professionals use is available to you. Go to the library, get an actual book, find a doctor and read. Go somebody in med school and read their book. It doesn't always make sense. And actually test on yourself and your body. All right, they've been poisoned. They are poisoning us. Whatever they poison and put in the air is probably already in us and is individual to our own, basically, immune systems and our own personal health to who's being affected in that. I mean, come on, y'all. All we know about diseases and viruses and illnesses, really, is that the symptoms, they can call any disease they want, but the symptoms are all the same. It's your body going through a detox and healing process to remove whatever is in your body. So that mucus buildup, that fever, sweating, and all of these contractions from chills and all of that, and the pain is all a reaction of your body trying to heal itself, trying to detox from whatever's harming it. They can call those symptoms whatever they want. And see, once they put a label or a name and a medical term and process to it, then they got you. But how many people are not taking care of themselves before this virus came around? How many people were just doing is equally destructive things? Most of the people who probably got infected, a lot of them were probably a step away, one GMO food away from a heart attack. So now it's a panic, but when everybody, the majority of the population was being self-destructive and killing themselves, it wasn't an issue. Let's wake up, y'all. Peace out.